Love and Watches is a family-friendly podcast for male and female watch lovers alike. Perpetual Girl and Ranch Racer are a watch-crazy wife and husband team who've been wearing and collecting watches for more than 45 years. They enjoy bringing you the latest in collecting, interviews, news, and all things interesting in the world of watches. Enjoy the show.
Hey, Love and Watches family. Welcome to the show. This is Ranch Racer.
And this is Perpetual Girl.
And we have an exciting show for our listeners today, don't we?
We do. We have our second Love and our listeners spotlight, and it features one of our friends of the show, Dr. Kibwe Weaver. And he's out in Michigan, a doctor traveling from his home to New Hampshire every week.
And by the way, Toto Tundu is part of his Instagram handle.
Is his Instagram handle. So if you look up _Toto Tundu, you'll find him. And that was an African name given to him.
And we had a ton of fun talking to Kibwe. That was amazing collection, really neat guy.
We have a lot in common.
A lot in common.
You two especially.
Yeah, for sure. But he's a doctor, so he's way smarter than I am. And he's fighting a really big fight right now in the world. So yeah, and he's out there on the front lines, and so we really appreciate that. But so we'll get to that in a minute. We're gonna do some wrist checks, and then PG, I think you had something to chat about, and then we'll get into the interview. So You want to kick it off with a wrist check?
Sure. I am wearing the Bulova Oceanographer. This is one that we've mentioned before on the show, but I've recently had you resize it for me so I can wear it. And
it's the first time you've worn it.
Excuse me. It's really a lovely watch, and what I love about it is even though the dial is large, it wears really small. And I've always wanted a Doxa.
Well, it's a 38, but I think it's a 38 or 39, but it looks like smaller. A nice diver on you. Mm-hmm. I mean, it looks great on your wrist, but it looks good on mine too.
I've always liked the look of the Doxa, but they're just way too big for me.
Yeah.
So I've really fallen in love with this one. I love the indices on it. And
is that one I'm not going to get back again?
You will, eventually.
Cool.
We also have a vintage one that we had purchased.
Yeah, one of the originals.
We did. We purchased it and had it serviced, but it came back
Still
working.
Not working, yeah.
So we'll have to do that. And
I love that watch. That's it's a cool, and it really looks good on you. I mean that. I mean, it doesn't look oversized.
Thank you.
It's a great dive watch.
It's a unique case shape because it's not quite a turtle and it's not quite a samurai. So.
Yep. No, it was a good choice for today because our friend Kibwe has one in his collection. So that was a good choice for today. So, and that moves on to my wrist check, which is also similar to another one he's got in his collection. This is a glycine, and I don't know if I've worn this one on the show. Do you recall if I've worn this one?
I probably haven't. I have chemo brain, so you can't ask me that often.
Yeah, and I unfortunately don't listen to our shows, so I don't remember if I've ever mentioned this one. I haven't had it for long. It's a
pandemic purchase.
Was it? It was early in the pandemic, and it was another drop purchase. Like I was telling Kibwe, you guys will hear, I've got to stay off a drop. It used to be called Mass Drop, now it's called Drop, and they have some fantastic deals on watches. And both of my glycines I've bought off of a drop, and this is the 42 millimeter Combat. It's Combat 42 Vintage, and this is the GL0262, which is, I bought it because it reminded me of the Bluesy. Right, mm-hmm. It's an homage basically to a Rolex Submariner Bluesy. So it's got blue dial, gold accents, two-tone yellow, gold, and steel bracelet. So very much reminded me of our Bluesy that we used to own.
However, it's got a matte blue dial, and the metal surfaces are brushed, so it's like a satin. Yeah,
it's not as in your face, I guess, as the Bluesy with a lot of the polished. It's a more casual look. It's much more casual.
It really looks nice on you.
It's got the date at 4:00 and then really neat texturizing on the dial. So this is a fun one. And when I was looking through Kibwe's collection, I saw a glycine
very
diver,
similar.
So
mm-hmm. It's nice.
So that's what I got on the wrist.
It's too big for me to wear, unfortunately.
It's a 42 and it's a big 42. So yeah, it's a little bit large for PG's 6 1/4 inch wrist. So what have you been up to? You bought something recently that didn't turn out great.
Yeah, it was I guess you could call it a new watch alert. It's more like a new clock alert. And I'd been since
or a new bits and pieces alert.
Yeah. Since receiving my anniversary gift, my Young'uns Max bill, I've really been into, kind of looking around at Bauhaus era and Young'uns watches. And I have to limit myself to eBay. Which I've done. I've been
just like me on Drop, right?
I have, but I did find an adorable Young'uns vintage kitchen clock, ceramic, and I remember seeing some of these. I even think one of my grandparents might have had one back in Chicago.
Very 60s feel.
Yeah, it's very minimalist. It's got a glass dial. It's wider at the top than at the bottom, and the bottom has a hand twist timer, which I thought was really charming. And I need something like that in the kitchen because I don't.
But it's mechanical, right?
It's mechanical.
It has a key, and you actually have to wind the movement.
And I think it's a 1 week movement. If you wind it, it will run for a week. I asked the seller to please put Fragile on the box and package it extra or double box, and I'd be happy to pay for that because we've had a lot of broken things lately during the pandemic. Well, it finally got here, and
there might have been some tears, guys.
A little bit of tears.
Maybe some tears.
Because I thought I can't cry over something like that during a world pandemic.
Right.
You got to get your
it's just a
priorities
thing.
Right. But I had a dream the night before that it arrived shattered.
Oh, you didn't tell me you had a dream.
And it did.
Oh, interesting.
Did. So when I opened the box, I saw what was there. So it's basically in 3 major pieces now, but the movement is working. The glass is not cracked. And the parts that are the most shattered, you might not be able to see it while it's hanging on the wall. So I'm going to try to, I already ordered some micro precision Gorilla cyanoacrylate glue that I'm going to try to glue together. And then if I can get my hands on some speed tape or 100 mile an hour
to put on the back,
we used that in the when I used to.
Unfortunately, one of the cracks goes all the way through the dial. I mean, it was so unfortunate to open that box and see that.
I'm going to reinforce it on the back. And in my former life building airplanes, we used to use this stuff called speed tape, 100 mile an hour tape. So I'm going to see if I can find something with metal threads through it to go on the back. It won't be pretty on the back, but at least
you won't see it.
It could. And then I can possibly resurface with some enamel paint and fill in. On the front, because I've had some training in matching surfaces. So now I can finally use that training.
I mean, there's nothing to lose, right? It's already broken, so you can do your best to put it back together. And
I got a lot of really sweet comments on Instagram when I posted that, and everyone's saying, including you got to get your money back. But at this point, it took over 30 days.
It took forever
my
to
statute
get here.
of limitations is over. So at this point, it's like,
well, when you first shipped it, it ended up getting shipped back to him or something.
So like 3 weeks later, it finally got shipped a second time. But I learned my lesson. I'm not going to buy something fragile from really far away.
Well, I mean, it could have, if something fragile can get broken shipping down the street, but this is extra risky when you're buying it from overseas and, it's getting thrown onto planes and boats or whatever.
So I'm going to pick my battles, and this one's not one I'm going to pick, and I'm going to just try to repair it myself. So we'll see. So I'll post that.
Yeah, nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
I might even work on that today.
Cool.
So, well, today we're talking to Kibwe, Dr. Kibwe, really fantastic guy. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this segment of our listener spotlight. So if that's all that you have to say right now, let's head right in.
All right, let's do it. Here is our good friend, Dr. Kibwe Weaver.
And here we are with our next listener spotlight here on Love and Watches, Dr. Kibwe Todotundu Weaver. And Dr. Kibwe reached out to us during this pandemic to become a guest on our show, and we're really excited to have him.
Welcome to the show, man.
Welcome, and we want to give you a big thanks for being our frontline angels, I should say, during COVID-19.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think everybody's doing what they can.
Crazy times, for sure. So, Kibwe, I think you had found our show. I think you mentioned to us a few months ago and started listening, And number one, we appreciate your listening to the show. Love having our listeners come on. This is a fun segment for us, and we were stoked when you reached out to us. And your profile sounded really interesting, and I started looking through your Instagram account, and we actually have some of the same watches and are into a lot of the same things, and it just sounded like it'd be a fun show. So to get kicked off here, I think what we'll do is just have you quickly let us know what you're wearing today, and then tell us a little bit about your watch background and why you are part of this insane hobby with the rest of us.
Yeah. So today I'm wearing a kind of new piece to me. This is a Yema Superman.
Oh yeah.
Their limited edition piece, and I absolutely love it. It's quite thin. Well, at least it appears thin, but when you take a look at it,
oh yeah,
like kind of formed in like layers the way the case is, and it makes it appear a lot nicer sized. I've changed the band a number of times. It seems to fit anything, and honestly, I probably would not go diving with it.
Especially on the leather strap.
The little, and that's why I put it on the leather strap, because I was like, this is really not a diver, no matter what they say.
Yeah.
That little Superman thing that locks the bezel.
Yeah, the little window there.
Yeah, I feel like that would be really difficult to use underwater.
Yeah, you know what? It probably would be.
Yeah. So, but as far as an everyday wear, it's fantastic. It goes with everything. So, yeah. I also have like the blue band that came with it that has the little French flag on it. I think that's nice, a little touch to it. But yeah, that's what I've been wearing recently.
Well, I mean, right there, the fact that you're wearing a Yema means that you are definitely as sick as the rest of us, because most people wouldn't have a clue what that watch is, but anyone listening to the podcast definitely knows what a Yema is. So, number one, I think that's awesome. Number two, tell us how this all started. Have you always been into watches? We're actually real similar in age, and so for us, we've worn them pretty much our entire lives. Is it similar for you, or did you just get into them recently? How did that all come about?
I always liked watches. I mean, my first watches were my first watch was a Mickey Mouse Timex, I think it was, a little hand wound thing that I just loved to wind so much until I overwound it.
I did the same to my Snoopy.
And then I got into the triathlons. The what were those Casios or whatever, the little, and it could do everything. And then it would run out of batteries, and you go to get another battery, and they say, well, the battery costs more than the watch. Just buy another watch. Mm-hmm. And so I bought a couple of those, and then I had this weird experience where I saw this TV show, Magnum PI, and he had this watch that was given to him by his father, and it was very sentimental for him, and for me, that it was nice. I remember thinking I wanted to leave a watch to my son. So I went and bought my first quote unquote real watch to me was this Citizen Pro Diver Eco Drive. Yep. And as you can see, I've kind of worn the mess out of it. It's been diving all over in the islands and everything. But when I bought it, I learned about diving from reading the catalog that came with the watch. And I was like, and I told my best friend, I was like, dude, we should try this diving thing. So we went and took classes, and that kind of led me into doing some different things. And then I kind of got into dive watches, and I'm still into dive watches. But I'm the kind of person that if I buy a watch, I want to use it for its intended purpose.
Yep.
So yeah, that kind of got me started in the watches, and then there was a period of time which I was buying watches off of TV. When they had like it was the Home Shopping Network or one of those kind of things where it was just all kinds of stuff, and I really didn't know a lot about watches. Like I'd gone to the library and gotten books. But I just really didn't know a lot. I just liked it. I liked the mechanics, And I just thought it was so neat that somebody could make something that consistent, kind of keep clicking the way it does.
Yep.
And so I bought a number watch. I just found myself buying these watches, and then somebody broke in my house and stole all my watches.
Oh my gosh.
I pretty much started over from close to zero. Fortunately, I was wearing my first watch. So then I started rebuilding slower, but I think I got more educated, and the internet has been huge. And these podcasts and stuff, just the ability to learn a lot more about how watches are made, how the cases are shaped, and the finishing and stuff. And it's given me a much greater appreciation for the hobby. And it also allowed me to realize that there are other people that have this sickness.
And yes, it is a sickness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that first kind of affordable dive watch ended up costing you a heck of a lot of money because you went and paid for all your scuba lessons, right?
Yeah, no, but it was worth it. It's taken me places. We traveled just to go scuba diving. That was good. And I think when I buy a watch, I think about it in a slightly different way. If it's a diver, and you say, are you really going to use it? It does irritate me to see divers sold on leather bands. It's just like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the bracelet too. I like the bracelet too.
Yeah. But I if I get a dive watch, I want to get it wet. I don't want to, and that's probably why I've kind of led away from vintage. It just scares me, the thought that I'm going to ruin a dive watch by getting it wet. That just isn't.
Sure. Yeah. No, we totally get that. I don't think we really wear any of our vintage pieces in the water.
No. I was actually going to ask you about how you feel about vintage watches, because every time I go through your posts, you have so many beautiful, such a great selection of pieces, and I see the common theme of diving, and I also see that Monaco in there too. So, Ranch Racer is a car guy, and he also loves Magnum PI. We both love the show.
I'm very upset at Amazon Prime right now because they took it off of Prime.
They did. So I did spot that Monaco. So, do you have a love for racing?
I see a picture of a dashboard in here too. So you definitely got some car stuff.
Cars.
Yeah, that's what I have, a Toyota FJ40, 1976.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of into photography. So I like taking pictures of all kinds of stuff and just experiencing the world through my camera. But it seems like people liked my watch pictures, so I kind of made my Instagram more watch focused, just because people seem to like it. But no, I love cars, especially old Jeeps and old trucks and stuff like that. I have a Jeep Wrangler as well.
I saw that.
Oh yeah, here it is right here.
I drive a 72 Chevy C10.
Ah, that's gorgeous.
Pickup. Thank you. But your photos are beautiful. That was one thing that popped right out.
And that's the thing on Instagram. Nice. I mean, if you to build followers, and you really have to have the quality in your photography, and you've done an amazing job, man. I love your photography. Really nice job especially, it's so hard. I mean, you've probably learned early on, it's really hard to get a nice shot of a watch, especially with all the reflections and everything. You do a really nice job of your photography. So well done.
Some of them are a lot harder than others too, especially with some of the watches that I like really have the bubble out glass on them or whatnot. And as pretty as that is in person, when you get it out there, you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot get a shot without.
Oh, it's so hard. Yeah.
It really makes you appreciate a Zen, because it's like the glass disappears.
Yep.
It's gorgeous.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, man, you have some beautiful pieces. Oh, I see the Oceanographer. You and I have that in common. Very cool. Love that one. Yeah, you got some nice pieces. What does your family think about your watch collecting obsession?
So let me tell you. So I don't think anybody has ever really appreciated my watches. The watches that I have, I buy for myself. When I put on a watch and I wear it, it just makes me feel good knowing it's there. No one almost no one ever says, "Oh, that's a nice watch," or ever even pays attention. Yeah. And I like to match my watches to my outfits, and I'm one of those weirdos that will change my watch midday just because.
Oh yeah.
There are days in which I've worn 3 different watches, so but it makes me feel good, and my family does not understand that. I mean, I'm getting my son into it a little. He has a couple of watches that I've given him, and I think he likes them and he appreciates it, but he doesn't quite understand why every time I'm watching a movie, I pick up, oh, what's that watch he's wearing on?
Pause. Let's look at the watch.
Yeah, right.
He's like, Dad, that's not important.
Yeah, what are you doing?
By the way, if you hear laughing in the background, that is my parrot.
I heard that.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
Another thing we have in common is birds.
Yeah, it's impossible to get him to be quiet. And when you get on the telephone and start, he'll laugh, he'll talk. He's an African Grey Congo. Parrot.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, bring him on. He can be part of the show. That's great. I love it.
And they live a long time, I understand.
Yeah. He's 23 years old. And him as an egg.
Wow.
Yeah. I used to work in an animal hospital. I actually had originally wanted to be a vet, and then I had gotten him for research purposes. I was going to try and see if we could teach him to count. And the Dr. Irene Pepperberg, and I know this is a huge segue, but African Grey Congos are one of the few animals that can recognize different sided numbers.
Really?
So like, say it's 6-sided, 7-sided, 8-sided. Humans can only recognize something up to 6 sides before we have to start counting. And no one was aware whether or not her parrot was actually counting, or could he just recognize that it was an 8-sided figure. Right. And he could go up to 8 sides. So
wow, that's amazing.
Wow, our eyes are popping open right now, staring at each other. Birds are really fascinating, and there was a program recently on, I believe it was Netflix, called Bird Brain, and it's similar, where they had different parrots that they taught to do tasks in sequence to put together and problem solve, basically. And I find it fascinating. I don't want to take too much time away from.
Yeah, we could go down the whole bird rat hole for hours.
But we do have a 22-year-old goose that knows several phrases and lots of words. He knows his name, and just watching these geese, they're pretty smart.
Yeah, they're not dumb animals. I think that's a long-term misconception there.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so
I would like to ask you guys a question.
Yeah,
I
go for it.
Found in my watch collecting that something that's really kind of stuck out to me are these little details that, and I'll give you one perfect example, is my Tudor Black Bay 58. The crown action is unbelievable. It just feels fantastic to use the crown.
Interesting.
And I use other watches, and I'm not getting that same level of quality out of the crown function. And I've become like, I don't know, a crown geek. It just like, I want the crown to work better, and I don't understand why some watches crowns just kind of seem crappy.
I agree. I some of them are so small. I have some dexterity issues, and some of them are so small I can't screw down the crown. Yet, if it's a larger, a specific shape, I'm a big fan of like the peanut butter cup shape, cupcake shape that's the cocktail times. Mm-hmm. Something that has a good enough grip and is large enough that you're not. I don't ever know if, like the oceanographer, I have a hard time screwing down the crown. It's very tiny, and it's true to its and there's historical
the
shape.
Bulova Helldiver one.
Yes.
The oceanographer. Yeah,
yes, which I have on.
It's so hard to grab that crown.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But this has been this Ocean Star is one of the finest crowns I've used. It's just fun. You just want to just turn it and charge that battery all the time.
You know what? It's I love that you asked about this, because with watches, it's about your interaction with the object, right? And I completely understand what you're talking about, because you'll get a watch and you wind it and it almost is like, God, is there sand in there? I mean, there's grit, or it feels horrible, almost like you feel like you're gonna break it, right? And then you'll get one like you just mentioned where it just
smooth. It
feels so amazing when you wind it. Kind of the same thing with bezels. When we got the Rolex Submariner, and I turn that, I'll just sit there and, PG will be sitting on the couch, we're sitting out watching TV, and she'll be like, "Can you please stop turning the bezel?" Because I love the sound. I love the way that each click feels through your fingertips, because it's so smooth and so accurate. And I think that's one thing that you as a collector have realized, because a lot of people say, "Why in the world does that watch cost X and this watch over here costs so much less money?" And then you start understanding some of those details.
That doesn't happen.
What's that?
That just doesn't happen. They have to put some research and work.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to start understanding what there is to a watch, right? Most people just look and go, "Well, those two look the same to me," right? How come that one is $25, that one's $7,000? That's ridiculous. But once you start learning about them and the work and the research that goes into them and what's inside, and I don't know if you've ever taken a watch apart, but when you start working on movements and looking at the pieces and how things interact, it is really fascinating, and it starts to give you that understanding of why certain watches cost more than others, or why some watches are in higher demand than others, right? And those are the types of things that people don't understand. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. No, it's kind of what I focus on, and the hard thing is that I'm not in a place where I can often try on watches. I'd say the vast majority of my watches I buy untried. Unfortunately, I see them online, I research them, whatnot, and I listen to reviews and look for those telltale signs of what they're saying. And we actually count on reviewers to tell us the truth. So if I buy a watch and it's not the way that it was presented, it really irritates me.
That's a really good topic, because some places you get reviews, I don't really believe that it's
yeah.
If they're being paid to do the review,
it's hard.
It's likely it's going to be, they're finding better ways to represent it than if it was.
Well, and especially now in this day and age where, around the country, around the world, retail is shut down. It's hard to get anywhere or see any watches at all. So we're now relying even more on what we read and what we hear and, what we learn through research on the internet. But it's hard. I mean, that's the one thing we loved about the Formex brand and those guys with their app, and you can actually, virtually try the watch on and see it on your wrist. And those are the kinds of technologies that are going to make it a little easier, rather than having to just rely, because you're also getting opinion, right? I mean, when I review a watch, and we're not big into the reviews. We do them from time to time. We've got a couple new ones that have recently been posted, but you're getting facts, but inevitably you're going to get someone's opinion, and everyone's opinion's different. So it's so hard to make a judgment call on something you haven't actually had in your hand, which I think is why people buy and sell a lot. You buy something, it doesn't work out, you sell it and try something else.
Yeah. I think that there's it's a weird thing. Like you'll see a watch and it will look beautiful and it meets all the requirements, the size requirements and everything. And you'll get it, and you put it on your wrist and it just doesn't speak to you. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't tell you what's wrong with it. It's everything I thought it was supposed to be, but it's just not me. And then another watch, like my Orient Star, I just can't stop wearing it. It's just like, why did I not know about this brand before? It is just fantastic. And you can't say what it's going to be. So I do wish I could try on more. I bought a watch. Actually, I bought 3 watches when I was in St. Martin, and the dealer keeps, WhatsApping me saying, "Hey, we got some more watches you might." He's like, "I know COVID times are rough, but and I there's some watches that I'm looking at, but the size just kind of scares me. And it's like, if I don't try it on, sometimes the size is just too big of an issue for me.
What size is your wrist?
It's a 7.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Pretty average size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so like I bought one of these marathons, the 38.
Mm-hmm.
And normally I like 38s, but it just wears super small. And
that's funny because I was looking into one of those for myself because I have a 6 1/4 inch wrist, so it's tough. It's tougher for me.
It's fantastic. You would love it.
The 38.
My son. Yeah,
interesting.
He loves it.
And it's.
I do wear 38s. I like 38s, but just not that one.
Every watch wears different, right? It's the case
Lug.
shape, the thickness, the type of bracelet or strap that it's got, the crown. I mean, the lugs. There's so many factors, and yeah, so many people that they'll read a review and they go right to the diameter. What's the size, right? Mm-hmm. And people make their decisions based on that instead of kind of looking at everything as a whole, because it makes a difference. I mean, you look at that Bulova Oceanographer. That's is that 38 or 39? I think that's a 38, isn't it?
Yeah,
the orange dial.
It works on me, and it works on you as well.
Yeah, so that one works well. But like my 39 millimeter Oyster Perpetual feels pretty small for me, and it looks small.
Yeah.
And even though the Bulova's smaller, it's a diver. It's thicker.
Sporty.
It's got a bezel. Yeah. It's.
I think it's the shape of that case, the way the lugs are kind of, meld down.
Yep.
Towards it just makes it look a little wider.
It does. The cushion case really, it helps make a watch feel bigger than it is,
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. I love hearing all this stuff because this is all stuff we've talked about over the years on the podcast. And that's why we started this segment, to start hearing the same things from our listeners. And, we all go through the same stuff. We all wonder about the same things, notice the same things on watches. And that's exactly why we're doing this.
Now,
yeah, well, I often hear you guys talk about how Perpetual Girl, you get upset about the blinging out of women's watches, and I completely agree. But I must say that I think something missing is that there is truly an audience that wants that. There are
absolutely
a lot of women that do love just. Throw some diamonds on. I'll tell you my.
Oh yeah, and I have an all paved crystal, evening watch too. So I'm not. I also like it as well. It's just, I'm sorry, you were. I interrupted you.
It's just my like the most expensive watch I bought. I remember I showed it to my father-in-law, and he was just like, "Really? There's no diamonds." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't want any diamonds." He's like, "Why would you spend that amount of money on this?" I was like, "Well, okay."
They'll never, unless they are into watches, they'll never understand.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, I don't mind a little bling. It's just when they start putting a quartz movement in it that probably costs $50, and then charge an extra.
At that point, it's more jewelry,
sort of,
right?
Correct, which is fine. And there's a place
distinguish between a female watch collector versus a woman who wants a pretty watch to go out at night, or as a piece of jewelry, right? It may be viewed differently. There's absolutely a market for it, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, jewelry that tells time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
now,
I agree. I think a lot of the women who are actually into watches, though, want the same watches that men have, that are just sized appropriately, for them.
Yes. That's what happened when
colors. Yeah.
Right. I would proofread reviews that Ranch Racer would write for different publications, and I'd say, "Oh, I like this. Can we, this is a really good price. It's automatic. It's got a great, it's like a dive watch." And he's like, "Hun, that's 45 millimeters or 40." He's like, "I think it's going to be too big." And I'm like, "Why don't they make it just a little bit smaller?" And this, the same watch, just a little bit smaller. So that's, the discussion on the sofa over coffee that kind of turned into the podcast. But one question I do have for you. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I have to assume that the money speaks, that the market is is doing that. I don't know, but I think it's one of those things that I think the female watch collector is a growing audience, and as they catch up, as there are more and more of them, then the watches will start to reflect that.
I agree. We went to the Couture Time show. Was it 2 years ago?
That
now?
was 2018, yeah.
And a lot of the people that were there at the show representing new watches for their brands, a lot of the people were women that were representing stuff, that were representing the manufacturers, which was really, really fun to talk to them about how they thought about the whole topic. So I kind of saw things starting to change a little bit back then, and now there's just in the last, I don't know if it's quarantine or what, but just in the last year, maybe 6 months, there are so many more women on Instagram that are collectors. And when we started our podcast, I think there were a handful of podcasts, and the Love and Watches was one. Now there's a podcast
with 2 women. I think there's another, I guess, a brand new husband and wife podcast. There's a lot more women that are coming into the hobby, or that we're learning about, maybe that have been into the hobby but didn't feel that they were represented or had a place, and now they're starting to come out of the woodwork, which is awesome. Love seeing that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. My next question for you is, do you already own your Grail watch? And if so, what is it? And if not, what is it?
And we fully understand that a Grail could be different every week, so we get it.
Yeah, that was a difficult one for me. I've actually thought about that a lot from the time I found out what a Grail was. So here's the thing. When I think of my Grail watches, in general, I tend to think of like things that I'm never going to get, like a Jacques Dro, Tweeting Bird or whatever it's called.
That's one of mine.
But on the other hand, I know if I had that watch, I probably would never wear it. It would just be like something that you put in your living room and look at occasionally, I tend not to wear dress watches that much. When I do dress up, I like to wear a nice dress watch, but it's just not as common, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. I really like the watches that I can wear, but it changes. I mean, there's a watch you've spoken about a number. What's the Russian company, Konstantin, whatever that he's got, like the clown?
Oh yeah,
Shaken.
Yeah, Konstantin Shaken. Yeah,
I think that is amazing. I would love one of those watches.
Oh, I love it, man. She's looking at me right now because she always makes fun of me that I love that watch. I love to hear that.
I respect it. It's just not for me.
That watch is, I love the humor and just the beauty and everything. It would make me smile just looking at my wrist every time I wore it. I would want one of those.
Okay. I am so with you on that. With you.
I have to say, when I saw the band he came out with the necktie on it, on the leather, I thought that was really cute. I mean, so perfect for that watch, and just a little play of humor and just adding to it. Go with it. It's it's already working as a make you smile, and then just add that little bit of a fun. The necktie was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So it's growing on me. The workmanship is stunning, so I do appreciate that.
I think the Moser watches are amazing, but when I think of a Grail, is it like something that I'm actually going to go after and try to save for and try to do? Nah, probably not. I don't know. I can appreciate them from a distance. So yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, unfortunately, I tend to buy the things that I want. If I want it that bad, I feel like I need to be able to wear it often. And like I tell you, I mean, if I buy a dive watch, I don't care how much it costs. It's going in the water, damn it.
Yep, absolutely. Well,
I agree because I'm out with the animals. We're on kind of a farm here, so we're out doing chores, and I'm constantly getting my watch wet. So if you look at my collection, there's a lot of
when you're jumping in the water to cool off,
in the pool, and the goose pond, all that. So I agree. So
speaking of dive watches, and you have a looking at your collection, it very much leans, and you said you're very much into the dive watches. You have one that I have looked at for quite a while, which is the champagne dial Tudor, the two-tone Black Bay. Absolutely love that watch. Does that go down in the water? Oh yeah, there it is. Yep. Yep.
Oh yeah, This goes in the water. I wore this. I wasn't diving. I just was at the beach in St. Martin, and it's been in. It's gorgeous. It's a watch that I feel like would look gorgeous on a weathered leather band, but I just cannot take it off of this bracelet. It just it's just gorgeous, and it feels so good. I like the little gold links and whatnot. I wear it all the time. I wear it at work.
Well, I was going to say there's a lot of watches that you could wear as a sports watch, and you mentioned you don't really have a lot of dress watches, but you could easily pull that off with a suit, possibly even with a tux, right? I mean, it's very. I think that in terms of dive watches, could be very dressy. You can totally dress that up.
But I tend to wear my Glasuit Original when I dress. And because I don't do it very often, then it usually gets the duty. Because it's just an opportunity. But recently I bought this Mouse. I don't know if you saw some of the pictures of
those. Oh yeah. That popped right out.
I think this thing is gorgeous. I was really hoping that they would come out with a automatic version of it or a mechanical version. It's a quartz, but I've gotten more compliments from this watch than like any watch I have. People notice that. Non-watch people just love that.
It's really unique.
Now I'm looking at the scale on that. It's interesting. So it's got 5-minute markers, but then in the first 30 seconds, it's got another scale in there, 0 to 30.
Those seconds.
That's your seconds.
Yeah, that's the seconds hand clicking away.
Yeah, but how come it's only 0 to 30? It doesn't go all the way to 60. It's not a pulsometer, is it?
I don't know.
I don't either. It's a really fascinating design, and is that a moon phase or AM? Is that an AM PM indicator?
It is a moon phase, but honestly, I have never tried to set it.
Okay.
I don't. To be honest with you, it's really difficult to read the time on it.
Oh.
Because I don't know. I'm getting older, and you gotta look kind of close to.
I hear you, man.
I feel it.
To see the time, So I have looked up how to do moon phases, but it's not something that really jumps out at me as something important. And I think that's the only moon phase I have. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know a whole lot about it. It's just that it was gorgeous and I liked it.
It is a very cool looking piece.
Some of the watches I have, I really delve deep in, but that one I just like, yeah, it's pretty. I want it,
I love that, the Glasuta, the big date. That is just such a pretty watch.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I love taking pictures with it. It's like you can't do it wrong. Every picture just comes out gorgeous. And it's well made. And I don't know if you've seen the back of it. I mean, the way that they do their
that is beautiful.
It's just you can just stare at it. You sit at a funeral and you're tired of hearing them talk, and take your watch off and look at the back.
Look at the back. It is. They're a work of art, and it's got the micro rotor. And it's absolutely gorgeous. They're such nice pieces. Man, that is beautiful. So how many watches do you have? Is it a big collection, a small? I mean, it looks like it's pretty good size and growing pretty quickly.
I'd say around 40.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not a seller. Most watches that I buy, I bought for a reason, and some of them have sentimental value. But some watches I may have bought just because it was something special to me at that time, or I really liked the engineering that they threw into it. It was a special way that it was made or whatever. But that doesn't really change for me. I still appreciate it. I will tell you, I have an Invicta Pro Diver that I bought, and I don't really wear it, but it was so cheap, and people dog Invicta out, but
yeah, they do.
It's a well-made watch.
Has it had an H35 Seiko movement in it? Is it one of the...
Yeah, the NH35. I mean, I just couldn't believe how well it sits on my wrist and how well the mechanism works. I was like, wow, and it's like the cheapest watch I own.
I mean, those Invictas, when you can pick up an automatic watch with a good solid Seiko movement in it for under $100, I mean, I don't...
Such a great way to get into collecting.
Be totally into that. It's awesome.
We have a lot of listeners who that was like their grail watch. They're on a really tight budget and they wanted that Pro Diver with the Seiko movement.
Yep.
And I think it's awesome that, it's a great way to enter collecting. And oddly, I have a Snoopy. I really like Snoopy.
Oh, you're Invicta Snoopy, right?
Yeah. Ranch Racer calls it Crazy Snoopy because he's as accurate, or at least used to be, as my Oyster Perpetual.
Yeah, it was like a second or a second and a half a day. It was unbelievable how accurate that thing was.
Or maybe even a half a second. It was
crazy accurate.
We couldn't believe it. And we just lucked out. You just luck out when it leaves the factory.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of the Snoopy, I saw a picture of one of the Gerald Genta Disney watches that was amazing. He did some really special stuff with them that I could see that as being a grail watch kind of thing.
Those are very cool, and they're getting harder and harder to find, and they're going up in price.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I have a Squale 1521. I know Ranch Racer, you don't like the bronze, but I absolutely love the bronze patina. It does not patina hard like green.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just kind of into the softer color of bronze, and like I wear bronze bracelets. I got my first bronze bracelet when I was in Zambia, and it has a lot of sentimental value to me. So I just wear it all the time. And to find a watch that then I can kind of match with it, I like that. It's not the bling of gold, It's just kind of more muted, and I like that.
It's more of a copper color, which I really like as well. I'm not as fond of the green on the wrist, like the green copper, but the Oris Carl Brashear watch that Ranch Racer wears, I think that's really lovely on him, and it complements his skin tone, and it's got a nice, soft, like a satin finish on the bronze now because you're not polishing it up.
Yeah, I haven't polished it for a while. Bronze is really interesting. I think I'm kind of in the watch collector minority when it comes to bronze, because I know there's a lot of collectors that absolutely love the bronze. They love just letting it do its thing. I love the look of bronze when it's new. It's the patina that I still haven't wrapped my head around. But again, I think I'm kind of in the minority there because I know it's, bronze is huge. A lot of people absolutely love the bronze.
Well, I think
I'm interested in the Oris, the new one that they have that's all bronze.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Where the bracelet is bronze too?
Yeah.
But I think isn't it like a 44?
It's pretty big. Yeah.
I just don't know if I can do that size.
Yeah, I hear you. And this was, like I said, if you listen to the Formax podcast, we talked a lot about size with those guys. And I mean, that's a tough one. Again, you don't really know until it's on the wrist, You just don't know what it's going to look like. But Oris, what a great brand. Fantastic brand.
Yeah, I have a couple of Orises. It's just wonderful. They just, and the colors of their dials are fantastic. blues that they do are just great.
And they've been around a long time. I've got several vintage pieces that I've picked up on eBay. The cicada ladybug, ladies pendant, and I remember as a young person, even like grade school, so sometime in the late 70s or early 80s, I remember seeing ladies wear those ladybugs, and I just thought that is the coolest thing ever. And I've found a couple on eBay, and I do have a little Oris pocket watch we got over at the swap meet. It's not running, but yeah, they're a real solid company. It's been around a long time.
Amazing brand. Brand. I mean, they punch well above their weight, if you ask me. They're just, and love the dial. You know, you mentioned the dial colors. For me, I think they're second only to Seiko when it comes to dials. I love Seiko dials, both regular Seiko and Grand Seiko. They just do an amazing job, but Oris is right there. They really do a good job with dials.
They had some really nice ladies offerings when we were at Couture Time too. Mm-hmm. I liked both. They had that blue. Remember wasn't it the blue? And then there was a brown or an orange.
Yep.
Have to go back and look.
I just wish they had more loom on them. I'm a loom snob. I wish they had more loom. Seiko loom, it lasts all night. I can still roll over at 5 a.m. and look at that thing, but my Oris is like 10 minutes and I can't read it. I wish they had more loom, but other than that, it's a great brand.
Maybe they'll incorporate that someday.
I don't know. Maybe they will.
And a fair as well. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, you have a fair?
Oh yeah, he does. He's got more than one.
Oh man. That's the Chrono. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, that's the one right there. That's it.
That's beautiful.
that titanium.
Oh man, that dial. That's beautiful.
This one.
He showed me that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like the case on the titanium. I think it's my first titanium watch. And the brushing on the top, and it's polished on the sides, and it's just
it's beautiful.
Perfect. It's so sharp, the edges, and they just did a heck of a job. And I like the bronze.
Yep. Yep, the bronze crown.
You know, and they did a bronze crown on this one, and this is another one which using the crown is just it's butter. I mean, when you turn it, you just want to turn it all day. It just feels fantastic.
I keep threatening to buy the manual wind. I think it's a 36 or 37 for PG. Beautiful watch.
Yeah, they do a heck of a job. They're a company. I mean, they're so young and new, and every watch I see on their site is like it's calling my name in a dangerous way.
Well, I think in what you pay for and what you get is just such an amazing.
You know, they do a really good job.
Quality.
We're so flooded with small brands these days, right? And it's the ones that do something to set themselves apart from the crowd, because the crowd is so huge, right? And Fair, I think, is a great example with the shapes and the colors
the
and
dial vibrancy.
And the fonts that they use and the hand colors. They just, man, they're
really classy,
really, really cool watches.
And it doesn't look like every other homage micro brand.
No, they have their own look. They have their own look, very unique.
And they'll talk to you. You know, I've corresponded with the Fair guys a couple of times, and he always gets right back to me on email, and I like his answer. You know, I was looking for a different band in red, because I really thought this one, the chronograph, which is the white face and the red hands, would pop with the red leather.
Oh yeah.
Strap, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, they don't have them, they don't make them, but you know, he pointed me to some companies that might be able to. And then I was questioning the diver, whether or not, because you have to the crown is a screw down crown,
right?
In order to use the compressor, I was like, well, how far down can I be and still use that compressor?
Right.
And he told me that I can go down 100, and it'll still work. So that was, you know, I like the fact that he knew the answer too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I plan on diving with it. So yeah.
That's cool that they're responsive, because it's a lot of these a lot of the micros are one-man bands, and
you're lucky if you hear anything.
Yeah, it can be a struggle. So that's good to hear that they're responsive. That's a brand I think that's going somewhere for sure. They have a huge following.
And a lot of some of the earlier watches, the Fairer, they almost have a vintage feel to me, where they've picked up some of the classics of eras gone by, and it gives it that just really high quality classic richness of, the colors and what they use, and their layouts are, the composition of their dials is really good. So you look at it and they're easy on your eyes. It's not anything that's confusing or stands out in the wrong way. They're beautiful.
Yeah. Very cool brand. Well, so we're coming up, it looks like, on about 45 minutes here, and we don't want to keep it too much longer, but I do need to ask Dr. Weaver, what is the next purchase? What's going to be the next one?
Let me see. Is my wife around?
I love it.
Just to let the parrot repeat
whisper it.
I've actually already purchased. I have a watch on the way and the MK2. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, one of their divers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I put in money down on the Versa. Is it not Versa? What's the name of that company? It's a micro brand. Vaer.
With a V?
Yeah, Vaer. I want to say it is.
I don't think I know that one. Now I got to look it up. Let's see.
I could be saying it wrong.
Yeah, Vaer watches. Vaer. American Assembly. All right, so which one are you? Is it one of the divers?
Yeah, it's
Oh, these are pretty.
It's supposed. Yeah. It's I've heard a lot of people say they really like their field watches and whatnot, and so yeah, I bought 2 more watches. I have 2 more watches on the way. Yeah.
Awesome. It's never ending. It's just constant, right?
Yeah. I tell myself I'm not going to buy anymore, but and once again, the Orient Star was just such a surprise to me. I will probably look at their watches more. Now I will tell you, this same watch was like $400 more expensive if I bought it from a U.S. dealer. And I went on to Amazon Japan and used the Google app to translate it and bought it and had it shipped. I saved about $400.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. You gotta shop around and know if you know what you're looking for, you can have some real success in saving money on a watch if you do it that way.
Or finding something rare like a Japanese domestic release Seiko, or which I haven't mentioned lately, but I'm looking at one, a Cocktail Time, but haven't quite found it. It's
yeah.
All right, I got to say, these are nice looking watches. These are very nice looking watches.
Get one. We'll talk about it.
Episode 2 with Dr. Kibwe.
Exactly. Yeah, these are cool. I'm gonna have to, and I'm the same way. I'll say, I'm done. I'm not buying any more watches, and then something pops up, and before I know it, I've already, clicked on PayPal or Apple Pay, and the glycine. I mean, I see you do have a glycine. I bought. There was the one I'm wearing today was on Mass Drop, or it's called Drop. Yeah, there's your glycine. And I really need to stay off of Drop because they have some great watch deals on that darn website. And I end up keep pulling the trigger on watches.
And that's a lovely glycine.
I bought another glycine, Airman GMT. It was one of the 24-hour.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Version. I wanted it so bad, and I got it, and it didn't work. And I was so upset, and it's turned me off. I haven't bought another one just because I'm like, what was that? It wouldn't, the minute hand wouldn't set right. It was like turning at the wrong speed.
Really?
Yeah. And I bought that from Ashford, and they took it back and whatnot. But I'm just not really sure what's going on. It kind of irritated me.
if you have
the glycine, I love.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you have a bad experience with the brand, it can be hard. Even if you see one that you like, it can be hard to make that leap again.
Yeah, I have a Zen, which, man, I can put this Zen on any strap. A Zen 104.
Yep.
And it's so thin, and it's just excellent. I like Zen. I probably will get another Zen, just because I'm just really happy with their quality. It's just excellent.
Does it have the hardened, the tegimented steel?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
No, this is just the straight 104. But I definitely want that, and I'd also like a Damasco. I feel like that hardened steel stuff that I'm reading about, all the technology that they put into their watches. I'd like to see one in the flesh. I really geek into all that. I think that's pretty neat when people put that much effort into their watches.
Is there a style of watch that you don't own yet that you've had your eye on? Either a style or maybe a watch with a specific complication, whether it's GMT or moon phase, those types of things. Is there something that you don't own in your collection that you're thinking you'd like to add?
Yeah, I want a one-hand watch.
Me too.
Yeah. I was looking at that. Is it Baume & Mercier that came up with that?
Yep.
The one that has it's like a field watch,
and
it has I think the 24 hours is at the top, or is that how it is? No, the 24 is at the bottom, so it's like 12, but it's a single hand 24-hour watch.
Yep,
love that. It's pretty large, again, but that's kind of I'm looking at those.
You should check out Meister Singer as well.
Yeah.
We got to meet with those guys at Couture, and I could have easily walked away with 4 or 5 of their watches. They're beautiful, beautiful. When you see them in person, the quality is outstanding.
Really, really beautiful.
Love the design. So if you want a single-handed watch, definitely check them out.
You should also look at Reservoir as well. We met Francois, the owner.
Those are cool.
And I too like watches that tell time in an unusual way, not non-standard. And the Reservoir is the same way. It goes up and then flips back when it reaches.
Yep. And
keeps track with the window. So the Reservoirs and he has a lot of different styles and some ladies styles too.
Yeah, those are cool.
So I also like a jumping hour.
A jumping hour. Yeah, that's what the Reservoirs are. Yeah. So those are a jumping hour, and then the minute hand flies back. Once it reaches 60, it flies back to 0. So they're very cool. And a lot of he's done a lot of custom work on this, so those are fun. Well, cool. Man, I could go on for another hour easily talking to you, because we have so much in common in terms of the watches that we like, and but I know we do need to wrap it up. Anything else that you'd like to mention in terms of your collecting, or what, why you listen to podcasts, or what would you like to leave us with?
I think I think we just need to find a way to make it more available to people who are not always in the big cities. And I think podcasting helps. I'm looking into the whole Red Bar group thing stuff, and I picked a bad time to look into it because of COVID.
I know.
But I found that there's a group in Detroit, which is 2 hours away. But there's a lot of people that are interested in this, and I think if we can find a way to meet up and talk, it'll be good. It'll be nice. This is fun. I'm glad you guys chose to do this.
Thank you. And you can start your own group in your area. We're outside of Sacramento, which would be too far to drive for a meetup, but we do a local one that's closer, out in our area. So
start one up. Go try to, even if it's
out on Craigslist,
find some people on Instagram or whatever that are in your area, and start one up. There's a lot of areas in the country that have multiple Red Bar groups that are separated by an hour, 2, 3 hours, whatever. But yeah, that's something you have to do. Excuse me. you got to do it in person. You know, we tried to do a virtual one over video with our crew.
Not the same.
And we did it once, and I mean, it was cool, but it's all about passing the watches around and
feeling
seeing what everyone else has, and
trying it on,
and having a beer with your watch friends, and you know, that's kind of what it's all about. So hopefully we'll get through all this, and yeah, start your own group, man. I think it'd be a great idea.
Yeah, no, I think I will. Sounds good.
Cool. We have 2 fellas in our group. I'm the only woman, but we have 2 other gentlemen who have the same exact wrist size as me. So we sit in our little corner, and we're like,
beep, the beep, small beep, wrist beep, corner.
You're sequestered.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so much fun. It's like, what'd you bring? What'd you bring?
Well,
this has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for being on the show. This has been a lot of fun. Guys, if you want to see some amazing watch photography, definitely follow Kibwe on Instagram. It's doc_Todotundu. Todotundu. TOTOTUNDU. doc_Todotundu. Go follow Kibwe. He's got some awesome watches, and the photography is outstanding, and he's just a cool guy. So, thanks, man. This has been great. We've really enjoyed it.
And please take care out there
Be safe,
what you're doing,
and
taking care of
thank
all
you
of
for
us.
what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun talking with you guys. And please, everybody, wear your masks. Stay safe. It's real. People are dying.
Amen to that. Thank you for saying that.
You.
All right. Wow, what a cool guy. That was so much fun.
It was.
That was a lot of fun.
Really wonderful collection. His photography is beautiful, and just a really special guy.
Yeah, and again, a doctor and out there on the front lines. And boy, is he right. I mean, just please wear your mask, and people are dying. This isn't a made up. This is real. He put it perfectly. This is real, and people are dying. So definitely keep your masks on. Yeah, I think that's it for the show today. That was cool. So
a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's been great having Instagram and being able to connect with people during the pandemic, because a lot of us who go to red bar groups, we can't do that. And like we said, it's tough to do it over. It's fun to connect socially over. We've done a WebEx before.
Yeah.
But right now we can't actually get together. So
it's hard.
It's been nice to look online. There's a lot of new accounts, a lot of collectors coming out of the woodwork, and a lot more women too, which is great.
Yep.
It's changed a lot in 3 years. So that's something I'm really enjoying seeing, and I'm connecting with a lot of nice new ladies, and also with a lot of just anybody with a smaller wrist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're here, and we're not going away.
as hard as we try to get rid of you,
and we're serious about it. We are serious. We're not just out here. You know, we're
messing around.
We mean it.
No, it is good to see. And like you said, just in the last couple of years, even just in the last 6 months, I've seen a lot of new women collectors popping up, which is fantastic.
Well, watch podcasts in general. I've lost count.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah.
I think when we started, there were a handful.
Yeah.
And now I'm counting 20, 30, 40, maybe even more.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's a lot. I don't listen to them. I don't even listen to ours. And I don't listen to any others anymore, but we appreciate that you guys take the time to listen to ours, and there's a lot of noise out there. So, as always, please give us a review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to the show. If you're able to just do a quick paragraph and let us know what you think about the show, and that helps us. And again, just a reminder, and I see people have already found our new store, but we have moved from Teespring to Zazzle for our fun swag stuff. And and I'm seeing the orders start to come in. So for those of you that have purchased on the new store, thank you. We appreciate it, and we appreciate your support. And I think that's it. So keep collecting watches, and if you want to be on the show, let us know. Send us an email to admin@loveandwatches.com.
We have some people lined up already.
We have several lined up already. So if it's something you're interested in, let us know, and we can get you in the queue. But we're having a lot of fun with these. So
we are.
Yep. All right, guys. Stay safe out there. Continue loving and enjoying the hobby, and we will talk to you next time.
Have a good one.